Have you ever reached the end of the day feeling mentally worn out, even though you didn't do anything especially difficult? You didn't run a marathon, solve complex problems, or work nonstop for 12 hours, yet somehow your mind feels foggy, slow, and strangely tired. And somewhere in the background, you might quietly wonder if something is wrong with you. Maybe you think you're just bad at managing your time or too easily distracted. Maybe you assume you should be able to handle a normal day better than this. But this feeling is not a personal failure. It's not about laziness, weak willpower, or poor discipline. It's about how your brain reacts to something most of us use hundreds of times a day without thinking about it. For many people, that something is their phone. Most days you probably check your phone in small, forgettable moments, while waiting for a file to load, while standing in line, between emails, before getting out of bed, before going to sleep. Each time feels harmless. Each time feels brief. Each time feels like a tiny mental break. And because it feels easy, it doesn't seem like it could be part of the reason you feel so drained later. So when the tiredness shows up, people usually blame something else. They blame their workload. They blame their sleep. They blame their motivation. They blame themselves. The common explanation is simple. We assume mental fatigue comes from doing difficult things for long periods. Hard thinking equals tired brain. Easy scrolling equals rest. That explanation sounds reasonable. It fits how effort usually works in everyday life. Heavy lifting makes your muscles tired, so heavy thinking must make your mind tired. But research on attention and cognition suggests something very different. Mental fatigue is often less about how hard something feels and more about how fragmented your attention becomes. Your brain is not designed to switch tasks constantly. It works best when it can stay oriented around one main stream of thought. When that stream keeps getting interrupted, the system starts to wear down. Every time you check your phone, your brain has to do a small but real reset. It has to disengage from what you were doing. It quietly stores that context, then it loads a new one. You open a message. You see a headline. You scroll past a photo. You read half a post. You notice a notification. You make sense of it all. Then, when you put the phone down, your brain has to reverse the process. It has to remember where it was. It has to reconstruct what mattered. It has to regain focus. This process is called task switching. And studies consistently show that even quick switches carry a cognitive cost. The cost is small each time, but it never fully disappears. When you switch tasks dozens or hundreds of times a day, those costs accumulate. Your brain spends more energy reorienting itself than actually thinking deeply. This is why just checking for a second is misleading. Neurologically, it is never just a second. It is a full shift in mental state, followed by another shift back. On top of that, phones create a constant stream of tiny decisions. Every time you look, you are quietly choosing what to pay attention to. You decide whether to respond, ignore, save, scroll, or stop. Most of these decisions happen automatically. You are not aware of making them, but they still use mental resources. Over time, this contributes to what researchers call decision fatigue. The more small choices you make, the harder it becomes to think clearly later. It's not that you become incapable, it's that your mental efficiency slowly declines. Your thoughts become heavier, your patience shortens, your focus weakens. Phones also prevent your attention from fully settling. Even when you are not using them, part of your mind stays alert. It remains slightly open to interruption. You might not notice it, but a part of you is always monitoring the possibility of new information. A message, a reply, an update, something you might need to see. This creates a state of partial attention. You are never completely focused. You are never completely at rest. You are always a little bit on standby. Research suggests that this in-between state is surprisingly draining. It keeps your brain in low-level alert mode for hours at a time. Then there is the issue of novelty. Phones deliver constant newness, new opinions, new problems, new images, new emotional cues. Human brains evolved to prioritize novel information. New things might mean opportunity or danger, so they trigger mild alertness automatically. Each post or notification produces a tiny spike in arousal. Not enough to feel stressed, just enough to keep you mentally engaged. Over a day, these small spikes pile up. Your nervous system never fully powers down. It stays gently activated from morning to night. Scrolling also involves emotional regulation. You may feel slight envy when seeing someone's success, mild irritation at a comment, brief amusement at a joke, subtle worry at a headline. None of these emotions are intense, but each one requires adjustment. Your brain is constantly recalibrating your mood. That regulation takes energy. Even when you think you're feeling nothing, your mind is working quietly in the background. In an office setting, this becomes even clearer. You're writing an email, you check your phone, you return to the email, a message appears, You glance again. By afternoon, your work feels heavier than it should. The tasks themselves haven't changed. Your mental resources have. Students experience the same thing. Studying with frequent phone checks feels productive at first, but comprehension drops. Fatigue rises. Retention weakens. At home, it happens during downtime. You scroll while watching TV. You scroll while eating. You scroll while lying in bed. These moments look like rest, but cognitively they are fragmented activity. Your brain never enters a true recovery state. The uncomfortable realization is that many of us are mentally tired not because life is unusually demanding. We are tired because our attention is constantly being divided. We live in an environment that trains our minds to be interrupted, and then we quietly blame ourselves for feeling overwhelmed by it. This does not mean phones are bad. It does not mean technology is ruining your brain. It does not mean you need to reject modern life. Research does not suggest permanent damage from everyday phone use. It suggests temporary overload from constant switching and stimulation. Your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do. It responds to novelty. It monitors social information. It adapts to incoming signals. The problem is not weakness. The problem is volume. When thousands of small cognitive demands replace a few stable ones, fatigue becomes the natural outcome. No one is built for that without cost. It also does not mean you should feel guilty for using your phone. These platforms are designed to encourage frequent checking. They work with your psychology, not against it. Most people are responding normally to systems built to capture attention. So when you feel mentally worn down after a day of light tasks and heavy scrolling, that feeling is information. It is your mind signaling that it has been busy in ways you did not notice. Not busy with dramatic challenges, busy with constant adaptation. Understanding this does not fix anything instantly. It does not remove distraction from your life. It does not give you perfect focus, but it reframes the experience. It replaces self-blame with context. It replaces confusion with explanation. It shows that your tiredness makes sense. Your mind is not failing you. It is responding to the environment you move through every day. And in a world where attention is continuously pulled in dozens of directions, feeling mentally tired is not a flaw. It is a quiet, predictable human response.